3-minute, 2 minutes.
Okay,
1
you'll
minute.
have to get over here a little closer. I won't see you.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
okay. All right, count me down to 6 minutes, so I'll have time for
You
re-asks.
got it.
Yeah, and then if we go over a little, it won't matter. Okay.
Okay, here we come in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2.
Thomas, I'm so glad you have that shirt on because now we get a close-up, as much as we're going to get, unless people go see the movie, of Howard the Duck breaking through the eggshell, chomping his cigar, and looking with much elan, as Howard the Duck has.
Unless they take a drive down Sunset Boulevard, of course.
Isn't that a
It's
wonderful
great.
billboard?
It's great. I think they should have had music, though.
Yes.
Yeah, I was very angry about that.
With your interest,
Absolutely.
musical interest, absolutely. Wouldn't that have been wonderful? Have they ever
Great.
done that with a
A
billboard
musical
before?
billboard. I'm not sure if it's allowed.
Why not?
The residents, local residents, would be complaining. There's this duck music going on all night long. I just can't sleep. I just can't wait.
Well, maybe they could put it on a timer, you know, music from...
Or just a button that passers-by can press from their cars, you know, like a drive.
But with all the noise from the street, I mean, a little duck music would
Wouldn't hurt.
only enhance it, I think. Anyway, Thomas, it's very nice to have a chance to meet you and talk with you, and your involvement, your musical involvement with this picture. Is there any unique way it came about, or was it just kind of one of those business deals that happens?
It came about in a strange way, actually, because I was originally asked just to submit one song to the movie, and I got more and more involved in it and ended up kind of masterminding all of the songs and staging the live performances of them in the movie.
Was the song then the Howard the Duck theme song?
They were, at that time, they were approaching various different people looking for songs, but I wrote all 4 of the performance songs in the movie, and I have a couple in there of my own.
Did you have to take into consideration the people who would be performing the songs? Because Leah does all her own music, doesn't she?
She does. The way they originally put it, they said, these girls say they can sing, we don't know. If we have to substitute them with studio musicians, we'll do it. And I said, no, don't do that. These are good. These girls are good. I think Leah is a great discovery. I think she could give up her movie career at any time and be a big pop star. So my concern really was that, given their inexperience as singers, was to make sure that I wrote songs within their limitations.
And that would be what, in range or what?
In range, and really to make sure that the accompaniment wasn't too complicated for them to play. Given that the only way to make a rock band look authentic is to actually teach them the parts, even though only a couple of them were musicians already.
So actually, then the music was not supplemented, the background music, or?
The background music was supplemented, but the voices weren't, yeah. But they did have to mime to all of the background music, and the only way to make that look good, really, was to teach them the parts themselves.
Yes. Was that a big challenge for you?
It was more of a challenge for them. But yeah, it was a challenge. The other thing about it was that you can't just choreograph actresses or dancers to move in the way that rock and roll musicians move, which is something I'd always taken for granted. But the way a band move on stage comes about from the necessities of the parts that they have to play. And so until the girls could play the parts, they weren't really looking right. Even though they were great dancers, we had a choreographer there and so on.
There's a little bit of a Madonna aspect to Leah's character, would you say, or not?
She's a kind of, yeah, she's a bit of a bad girl, I suppose. But she's still very cute. I think she's got an interesting angle on it, and I think the Bangles and the Go-Go's and so on will be eating their hearts out.
Did you actually see any of Howard the Duck before you started doing the music? I mean, as far as the little figure.
Yeah, I actually came in right from the beginning of shooting. They built me a little studio up at Lucas, and I worked around the production, came down to the set a lot, and I thought right from the beginning that he was great. You know, I'd actually been a fan of the comic book previously, and I thought that Howard was great. I thought he had a great personality, like a cross between Groucho Marx and the Fonz.
The Fonz, I love it. Did they experiment around with different looks for Howard, or did he always have the same?
He was changing all the time. I wasn't that involved in it. You know, I'd see it kind of from a distance, and you know, I'd kind of turn up one day and find that the duck had a whole new look to him. So it was interesting.
Music video, of course, is honestly, it blows my mind. It's just every place, and they get wilder and wilder all the time. Do you ever stop and think about where this is going to end?
I think where it's going to end is more involvement of musicians and rock performers in movies, because I think that rock and roll music is becoming more and more traditional. It's becoming more like folk music or jazz music. There are less barriers to break down in the music itself. So the way for people to rebel, the way for people to establish their individuality is with the visual presentation of it. And that means it's got to go more into video and more into film.
You think musicians and composers like yourself then have to get more involved in the technique of filmmaking and video making?
I don't think that's essential any more than an actor needs to know how to edit a movie. I think it's something that that becomes second nature to you. From my own point of view, I've always been fascinated with the creation of both music and pictures, which is why I'm starting to move more into movies, because I think if I have an ambition, it would be eventually to make my own.
Well, we'll look forward to that, Thomas.
Good.
And meanwhile, it's been very nice talking
Nice
with
talking
you
to you
today.
too.
I've looked forward to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Clear.
Nice
Pause the
interview.
tape. We're
Very
gonna get
nice
a re-ask.
interview.
Just stand up.
Stop it, Bob.
Look at me.
Okay.
In 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2.
Thomas, how did you come to be involved with Howard the Duck?
In San Francisco.
What did you have to keep in mind as far as writing for these performers? Leah did all her own singing, didn't she? When you speak of limitations, do you mean range or what? Do you ever stop to wonder where music video is going to end?
We're starting to lose your eye contact.
Okay. Do you ever stop to think where music video is going to end?
Is she okay? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the line's good.
Ultimately, where do you see yourself in the music world? Did the musicians act? Was there any supplemental music for the musicians? And now just reactions.
Okay.
He's so handsome.
Amazing. You've memorized all of those. You didn't look at your notes.
She even asked me one that she didn't ask me from the front.
Amazing. I bet you she was an actress too. I think you got quite a bit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
No, I was never an actress.
Really? Could be an actress.